Welcome. Today, we are cracking open the blueprints to the most powerful learning tool you'll ever own, your brain. We're going to take a look under the hood at how your memory actually works, turning it from this mysterious black box into a high-powered processing plant that you can learn to run like a pro. Let's kick things off with a feeling I'm pretty sure every student out there knows all too well. You spend hours studying for a test, you feel like you've got it, but then you sit down, look at the questions, and it's like the information just, poof, vanished. Why does that happen? And more importantly, what can we do to stop it? This ability to learn and remember things, it's so much more than just passing exams. It's fundamental to who we are. It lets us build on our experiences and make sense of the world. And by understanding this process, you can totally change the way you study, making every hour you put in way more effective.
Okay, to make this all super clear, we're going to follow a single fact. Let's say a key date from your history class. We'll track it from the very first moment you see it in your textbook, all the way to the moment you can pull it out of your head for an exam, no problem. Let's see what that journey really looks like. So, how does this journey work? Well, cognitive psychologists basically agree on a three-stage model. And a really good way to think about it is as a journey with three major stops: a super fast entry gate, a really busy workshop, and then this huge permanent library. So our journey starts right here, at the front door of your mind. This is where every single thing you see, hear, and feel makes first contact with your brain. Sensory memory. Think of it like a flash of lightning. For a split second, it captures a perfect, high-definition snapshot of the world, like the exact words on this slide, but then it's gone. It fades away almost instantly. Okay, now think of attention as the bouncer at the front door of your brain. Most of the sensory information flying at you gets turned away because it's only there for a moment. To get past that bouncer and inside, you have to consciously pay attention. And your brain is always on the lookout for stuff that's interesting or new, or maybe something that fits a pattern it's seen before. All right, so if a piece of information gets its ticket punched by your attention, it makes it past the bouncer. So where does it go next? Well, it arrives at a very, very busy, and as you're about to see, a very small workshop. This is where the real work gets done. This is basically your conscious mind. It's whatever you're actively thinking about right now. A perfect analogy is your computer's RAM. It holds all the programs and files you're currently using, but it's not meant for permanent storage, right? And it can get overwhelmed pretty easily. But here's the real kicker. This workbench has a tiny, tiny amount of space. It's famously known as Miller's magic number. It means that at any given moment, your working memory can only handle about 5 to 9 separate things. That's not a lot, especially when you're trying to tackle a complex subject. I mean, just look at this number. As 10 separate digits, it completely maxes out your workbench. It's pretty hard to hold on to for more than just a few seconds, isn't it? But now, watch this. Same number, but we've grouped it or chunked it. All of a sudden, it's not 10 separate items anymore. It's just 3 manageable chunks. And this shows off a simple but an incredibly powerful hack for your working memory. If you group information together, you can fit way more onto your workbench. Okay, so once we've processed that information on our little workbench, the final goal for real learning is to get it filed away somewhere safe. So welcome to the third and final stop, the massive library of your mind. Now, unlike that tiny workbench, this library has practically endless shelf space. But, and this is super important, information isn't just dumped in here randomly. It gets carefully filed away based on what it means and how important it is to you. Having a good filing system is everything. This right here, this is where the real magic of learning happens. It's not about just saving a new, isolated file in your brain. It's about connecting that new information to stuff you already know. These connections create these big networks called schemas. The more you can link new info to your existing mental library, the easier it's going to be to find it and use it later. This table just sums up our whole journey perfectly. I mean, look at the huge differences. For capacity, you go from high to just a handful of items to literally unlimited. And look at the duration, from less than 3 seconds to maybe your entire lifetime. Each stage is totally different, and it's powered by a different key process, from paying attention to rehearsing to really deep encoding.
So we just saw that the secret to getting into that permanent long-term library is a process called encoding and organization. So how do we actually do that? As students, how can we become masters of our own memory and make sure information gets processed deeply enough to stick around for good?
While to truly encode information for the long term, you have to do more than just repeat it over and over. A fantastic way to think about this is Bloom's taxonomy. It basically shows us that just knowing something, like simple recall, that's the absolute bottom rung of the ladder. Real, lasting learning happens when you start climbing higher. Can you explain it in your own words? That's comprehension. Can you use it to solve a new problem? That's application. The higher up this ladder you climb, the stronger that memory becomes. So the next time you're studying, ask yourself this honestly. Are you just trying to memorize facts? Or are you really pushing yourself to explain them, to connect them to other things you know, or maybe even to apply them in a new way? Pushing to those higher levels, that's what builds those strong, permanent memories. Here's another really cool way to look at it. Sternberg's approach basically breaks you down into two key roles when you learn. You've got the planner, that's the part of your mind that comes up with a strategy, figures out what the problem is, and connects it to stuff you've learned before. And then you have the doer, that's the part that actually carries out the plan. The best students aren't just good at doing the work, they're really good at thinking about the work before they even start. They plan their attack, they check in on their progress, and then they dive in and get it done. To really become an expert learner, you've got to master being both the planner and the doer. So what's the big takeaway here? Your mind isn't a hard drive that you just passively dump files into. Not at all. It's an active, dynamic workshop, and you are the one who's in control of the tools. Understanding this incredible journey, from a fleeting sensation to lasting knowledge, is the single most powerful step you can take to mastering your own learning. So the only question left is, what are you going to build?